Half-Life, the one that started it all and the first title from Valve and the first in the series. Today we're taking a look at the PlayStation 2 port from Gearbox Software. Let's jump right in. Having never played Half-Life, I didn't know what to expect. I've played games such as Counter-Strike and Half-Life 2, but I didn't know much about the original Half-Life before this review. After watching Digital Foundry's GF Retro video on the series, I decided on the PlayStation 2 version of the game, which is slightly visually enhanced without standing out like Half-Life Source in its low-poly look with modern graphics. While Black Mesa is an incredibly impressive reimagining, I wanted to experience the original game without being tempted to use mods or cheat codes.
Good morning, Gordon. Welcome to the Black Mesa training facility.
Starting out, I decided to go through the hazard course to familiarize myself with the controls. Your assistant is a virtual hologram whose voice and appearance gives off a calming atmosphere. But as you progress through the course, the reality and isolation begins to set in.
Activate your suit flashlight for the next area.
I was expecting a simple tutorial, which it was, but the actions and obstacles in the exercise had me all the more curious about what I would be doing once I was in the game proper. Ducking, jumping, duck jumping, swimming, shooting galleries. It was all very standard, but there was a sense of foreboding, as if the course was training me for survival rather than a simple tutorial.
Please advance to the next area. Good morning, and welcome to the Black Mesa Transit System. This automated train is provided for the security and convenience of the Black Mesa Research Facility personnel.
Half-Life starts with the game's protagonist, Dr. Gordon Freeman, arriving late to work at the fictional Black Mesa Research Facility. The now infamous train ride introduction effectively portrays an active government facility, with Gordon Freeman as just another cog in the wheel doing meager research assistant work for the science team. After the initial check-in at the front counter, suiting up in the hazard suit, and eventually making your way to the test chamber, Half-Life goes through a lot of effort to make a convincing setting and believable characters. It's just another day on the job, with finicky office equipment, employees going about their morning routines, and candid conversations about uncomfortable uniforms and grabbing a beer after work.
Shutting down. No. Attempting shut down. It's not shutting down. It's not.
Everything changes once an experiment goes horribly wrong, opening a rift between Earth and an unknown world. After somehow surviving, you're left to fight through the aftermath of a ruined facility, now infested with zombified scientists and hostile alien species. As you try to make your way to the surface, you'll come across survivors that can open doors Gordon doesn't have access to, and provide information like your next objective and expected military assistance.
I just overheard a secure access transmission. Soldiers have arrived, and they're coming to rescue us.
Things quickly go from bad to worse, however, once the military shows up, as they take control and begin covering up the operation, silencing any and all personnel stationed at Black Mesa. Being hunted by aliens and Marines as you frantically make your way through an ever more dangerous environment expertly builds upon a feeling of isolation and triumph when overcoming incredible odds. The dated visuals of the original PC release can be a turnoff for new players like myself. Luckily, the PlayStation 2 port has just enough graphical improvements to keep the experience enjoyable without being distracting. Even on PlayStation 2, however, Half-Life can certainly show its age at times, the humanoid grunts and Vartigons standing out in particular. Although the incredibly consistent art design helps craft a believable setting, Half-Life wouldn't be nearly as engaging without the impressive lighting used throughout the game. Overall, the effect can seem subtle if you're used to more modern titles, but it's the lighting in Half-Life that successfully convinces you of the world you're in. The sterile glow of fluorescent lights, the uncertainty of what awaits in the dark. and the faint glow of radioactive material contributes enormously to a convincing illusion that will keep drawing you in. As impressive as the lighting is, the most striking part of the presentation is the audio, which stood out almost immediately and continued to impress throughout my playthrough. While the sound effects and voice acting are relatively low quality and a bit muffled, Half-Life's use of a digital signal processor, or DSP, adds reverb, chorus, and echo to every sound in the game in real time.
Your HEV suit monitors blood oxygen levels, warning you when you need to find an air supply. As you swim through this course, your oxygen levels will begin to drop.
Depending on the size of the environment you're in and the materials that make up that environment, DSP will apply effects that further build upon the convincing game world. When combined, the audio and lighting create claustrophobic air ducts, liberating outdoor environments, sterile science labs, and underground bunkers with surprising deception. Everything appears to run incredibly smooth and fast-paced, thanks to the stellar controls and overall consistent frame rate. While Half-Life's frame rate may dip at times, the majority of the game runs at 60 frames per second and rarely falls below 30. Although Half-Life is typically considered a PC game, it feels surprisingly at home on the PlayStation 2. The controls are thoroughly optimized for the platform, allowing the frantic pace of combat and nuanced puzzle solving to really shine. Throughout my playthrough, I never once fought with the controls or craved a keyboard and mouse. The default layout feels surprisingly modern and provides the complete Half-Life experience without watering down its intrinsic complexity. Navigating your way through Black Mesa, equipped with your trusty crowbar and hazard suit, provides a satisfying and compelling challenge. Each area encourages exploration and experimentation, providing multiple opportunities through every situation. Running into a room guns blazing might work, but you're rewarded for taking your time and using your environment to overcome encounters and obstacles. Half-Life can certainly be unforgiving at times, unleashing hordes of enemies while you're surrounded by highly explosive containers, leaving you feeling quite vulnerable with limited ammo and supplies. Everything seems delicate and unstable, with explosive chain reactions either utterly destroying a group of enemies or leading to your annihilation. Thankfully, Half-Life provides a rather unique feature to console games: Quick Save. Saving and loading can be time-consuming on PlayStation 2, as manually navigating nested menus and locating memory cards is usually required. Quick Save, on the other hand, happens almost instantly and provides numerous opportunities to explore, experiment, and fail without worrying about lost progress. There are a number of puzzles and platforming sections that can leave you feeling frustrated, especially in the final areas of the game, leaving your quick save as a necessity that's arguably the most valuable tool in your arsenal. Half-Life on PlayStation 2 is an incredibly visceral and engaging title that expertly draws you in and compels you to keep pushing forward. It's an exciting fight for survival, mixing up the action with puzzles, platforming, and light horror. While the final few chapters are the weakest, transporting you to an uninspired alien world and ending in a monotonous boss fight, the rest of the game far outweighs its few weaknesses. If you're wanting to try the original Half-Life with its old school mechanics and charm, I would highly recommend the PlayStation 2 port if you can find it. For a much more accessible way to experience Half-Life, definitely check out Black Mesa, which is an impressive title that faithfully reimagines Half-Life with Half-Life 2 features for modern gamers to enjoy. Unfortunately, the original PC release of Half-Life doesn't hold up very well, and the source port feels disjointed with dated graphics and modern effects. It's been nearly 20 years since Half-Life debuted, and I've finally experienced it for myself. It's not a perfect game by any means, but it's certainly a unique experience you won't find anywhere else.